Hey there, this is Coach Rick, and I'm welcoming you to the Bald Truth Leadership Podcast, the place where you get straightforward, no-nonsense ideas on leadership, both personally and professionally. The Bald Truth Leadership Podcast is brought to you by the Peak Performance Group. I'm your host, Coach Rick Colster. I'm a certified executive coach and the founder of the Peak Performance Group. Today, we have an amazing guest. Jessica is an expert in marketing and business strategy, something I think we all need to be working on in this crazy time that we're in right now. There's no doubt. She is focused on helping entrepreneurs build their expert platform. Today, I'm welcoming Jessica Yarbrough, marketing and business mentor. Welcome to the Bald Truth, Jessica.
Thanks for having me, Rick.
Let's see, where do we start? Oh my goodness. Hey, let's start off with you. How about that?
That sounds great.
I want to know all about you.
Yeah.
Let's start off with a little bit about your background and your passion, and then share with our listeners a little bit about what you're doing now.
Sure. Well, my background's in international business. I started working really young, managing companies. I actually built a startup in San Diego and got really burnt out and walked away and said, I'm going to go backpack and be a nomad for a while. So I spent 4 years traveling Southeast Asia and Central America. This is about a decade ago. And then I said, hey, you know what? I want to become a yoga teacher. And I dove into that, became a yoga teacher. And then lo and behold, I became pregnant with my daughter and became a single mom and said, holy crap, I got to go back and actually make money again. So yoga teaching, it was very, very fun and fulfilling, but obviously not ideal for raising a child. So I rolled up my sleeves, did the work, and built my own startup consulting company into now an international firm. We're 6 years in the running. I serve clients from all over the world, and I help them with their marketing strategy.
That's amazing. You must have read my book, Roll Up Your Sleeves and Get to Work. I don't know. Sounds like it.
I didn't, but that's my mentality.
Yeah, and that's what I wrote that book about 6 years ago. And I love that. I love backpacking through. What a dream to do, and something we should all do young. And then yoga. Now I do yoga. Mm-hmm. I've been doing a thing called DDP yoga for, they're also a client of ours, one of our strategy clients as well. So there's some cool similarities here. We've got some things we didn't even know about each other. I like it.
Yeah.
So tell me about you. I want to know what your passion is. You're passionate about, you said backpacking across Asia. Well, you had to learn a lot there.
Yes,
then you went into teaching yoga, which is, it's just something that is so good, both physically and mentally. But now, as an expert in branding, marketing, what's your passion and why?
My passion is really showing people what's possible. I was going through testimonials, probably about 50 testimonials for my clients the other day, and I was reading through them because I always like to look like what is that common thread. And the thing that kept coming up in every single one was Jessica was able to expand my mind on what was possible. Where, we have this narrow vision, like we think there might be more, and then a coach can come in there and just show you how to expand that potential. And then really going in and taking their genius and packaging it into a transformational program and helping them elevate their message out there in a big way. It's an amazing journey to be on with my clients.
It's how interesting. Grew as an entrepreneur, and I was just thinking about this. I've been working on this the last couple of days as solopreneur. I know you've got an assistant, but pretty much it's you. You do most of the work. You're the brains behind this.
I'm the brains. I got a team. I got a video production team, but unfortunately I can't see them right now.
Yeah. But so growing into an entrepreneur, and taking it from an entrepreneurial startup into an internationally known name, what would you recommend? What kind of things would you tell the folks that are listening if they wanted to expand their reach in the marketplace, let's say? What kind of things would you tell them to think about and possibly do?
Well, it's lots of different things. I mean, one of the pillar stones of what I teach is about how to build credibility. And a lot of people get frustrated because they get out there and they're constantly trying to sell their services, haven't really built credibility in the marketplace. And so what I teach
Makes
is how to build
sense.
an expert business. And there's lots of ways you can do that. You can write a book, you can do a class, but the main thing you need to do is you need to show people who you are. And I'll tell you that showing up for most people is half the battle. It's kind of like going to the gym. It's like, or going to yoga. It's the getting in the car part and actually driving there. Once you get there, you feel better. It's the same thing with business. Humans are just programmed to consume, consume, consume. You need to stop the consumption, learn to create, find your voice. Podcast. I've done probably over 100 shows now in the last couple of years. Get out there and teach. Experts teach what they know. Then people are going to come to you like flies come to honey, because you're showing them who you are. You're giving them, juice, something to hold on to,
I
that they
love that.
want more.
It's being authentic. That's what I
Yes.
would call it, is being authentic.
Yes.
And from as an executive coach myself, I think that's part of the power that we bring is our authenticity, and
Yes.
leaders bring. We talk about leadership here. That's pretty much our focus, is how do we build leaders in an organization. Is a leader has to be, number one, authentic, and number
Yes.
two, transparent.
Absolutely.
So building that. So how does that relate to building a brand?
Well, it's huge because it's funny. So 2 of my clients have law enforcement criminal backgrounds. So one was a former detective and another one is
I
top in
have
his
a
class.
criminal background too, but not
Well, no.
in law enforcement. I was not in the
Not
front of
that
the car. I
guy.
was in the back. No, seriously.
Oh, no. Oh, no, no, no. That's okay. No judgment here. But what was interesting was one of the feedback from one of them said, Jessica, I was going through a lot of coaches, and what made me hire you was the level of authenticity. Is like, I'm trained as a detective to look for incongruencies in facial expressions and tonalities. He's like, I actually studied many of the business coaches, and he's like, I couldn't find any incongruencies in you. And he's like, and I thought that was so interesting because, I know I'm authentic and I feel like it goes across, but then to have that
Sure.
feedback from a detective, I thought was fascinating. And so I think what people need to understand is, even if you aren't a detective, we have that gut intuition. And so your employees can feel it. Your clients can feel it, your prospects can feel it. And so rather than trying to be someone you're not, like being authentic and being transparent, being truthful, operating in integrity is going to get you far more in the long term than the short-term gains that compromising those values will.
That makes so much sense. It does. I mean, body language is one of those things.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that body language, I was watching something the other day. It was on TV. I was watching the news or something. And he says,
don't do that. Come on.
You have to keep up with what's going on. But literally, whoever it was one of the county commissioners here locally. And he was saying, we're going to open up in May.
Yeah. Right.
And his head was going back and forth. And for the listeners, he was shaking his head no and saying yes out of his words. So what do you think I'm believing?
Right.
I think he's full of it. I mean, he's blowing smoke up somebody's skirt, and wouldn't be mine.
Right. Definitely.
So that's the incongruency. I love that. See, building that as a leader, I think is one of those critical traits that we have to have, and critical skill sets to continue to work on. So
absolutely.
So how do you help people do that? How do you help them build that authenticity or the transparency and that congruency? I love that word, congruency.
Yeah, I mean, I can't help people build congruency with their own values, right? But what I can do is say, this is who I am. And typically I do attract people that share my same values. If they don't, I don't take them on as clients. What I can help them do is to find their voice, to find their message. I always say that the majority of entrepreneurs, startups, especially in the coaching consulting world, that fail don't do so because they're a bad person or a bad coach. They fail because they fail to effectively communicate who they are and the value they bring in the marketplace. So they don't even get a chance to pitch. They don't get a chance to serve. And so that lack of communication is a real breaking point, because your messaging is the core of who you are. So what I can do is help them pull out what is your message and make that congruent with the value I know they bring, and build their brand from the ground up with those cornerstones of who they are.
Got it. Absolutely. And that's, again, helping them build that. And that's, you said, it's congruency, being who you are.
Yes.
And it's one of the things is just be who you are. And one of the things that you're right, coaches, and I think entrepreneurs as a whole,
Yes.
because we're really looking at entrepreneurs on the bald truth. We are talk to the heart of entrepreneurial spirit is learning how to sell,
Yes.
is sell yourself the right way rather than, I mean, you may have a great skill set. And there are a lot of coaches out there and you specifically focus on the coaching industry.
Mhm.
I know that, but there are a lot of folks out there that come out of a corporate entity. And we're going to see a lot of that coming out of this COVID-19 thing. I'm pretty sure we're going to see another round of rifts, layoffs, changes, staffing changes, all of that. They may have a great skill set. They may be a great programmer. They may be a great accountant. I mean, names the skill set. An engineer said, I can start my own company. But if they can't
Right.
sell it, they're sure not going to eat.
That's true. And I think that's the problem is, you get out there and you're starting to listen to all these different people. And so what I see is a lot of what I call copy paste coaches. And you think because, hey, this person looks successful, and maybe they are, maybe they aren't. If I just do what they do, exactly what they do, and copy them, and I've had people copy my stuff verbatim many times, I'm sure everyone has, that you'll be successful. But again, people can read through that. And so one of the exercises I take my clients through is like understanding where they fall in the spectrum of polarity. So rather than, say, I'm going to go copy this person, like, who are you? I mean, are you John Maxwell? Are you Gary Vee? Very different personalities, very
Very
different
different. Oh,
language
wow.
and communication. So like understanding, like, you don't go out and be Gary Vee if that's not who you are.
Yep.
And so that's where a lot of the inconsistencies come with messaging, and understanding how powerful our words are is another one. And, I'm not a big fan of using lots of cuss words. Gary is, and that works for him. So, but you need to understand your market, and you need to be you. So it's an interesting dance. And I think that's why people feel lost.
I think you're absolutely right. I don't see John Maxwell dropping an F-bomb.
Right. But
But
they're both
Gary does
successful.
on a regular. I've been a fan of Gary V's and also of John. So you actually named some of my favorite speakers and leaders in the community. And it's a great community that we are in. John has been around forever. I've seen him speak, I don't know, 10 times. And I've been reading Gary's stuff for the last 10 years and watching him on Insta and all the social media platforms. And matter of fact, I think I used it one time as a professional speaker myself. I said, you know what? I want to get to the point where in my keynote, I can drop an F-bomb and everybody goes, oh, that was really good. Not like, oh my God, he dropped an F-bomb. And that's where Gary is.
Yep.
Now again, John, you wouldn't see John the pastor doing that.
Right. Exactly.
Probably not, because it's incongruent with who they are. I love that. That's great. So leadership skills are critical. So, and you're leading your own organization. Like you said, you've got your assistant, you've got a couple of folks working for you, your videographers and teams. What are some of the skills that you think are successful? Let's say, what are 3 leadership skills that you believe are critical?
Definitely that you're inspirational. I mean, people are just kind of going around in their own emotional, mental struggles, and who knows what's happening in their home life. You have to be that voice of inspiration for them and remind them of the mission and the vision and get them aligned behind that one common vision. Otherwise, things are not going to flow. And so inspiration is one. Definitely transparency. I believe in this hugely with my own clients, is like, I share with you what I've done that has not worked. And I will share with you what does work, and I will tell you what not to do, so that you don't have to go and make that expensive mistake that I just did. So transparency is key. People really appreciate that. And integrity, as we talked about, is just one of the cornerstones of my program and my business. So operating in integrity is all key.
See, I love that. That's one of the things that is, for me, is so important. Integrity. That's number one on my list of values. We talked about values, and one of the things we work on with everyone that I work with is defining their core values. In fact, I had a cool conversation this morning. A gentleman wrote Forces of Character, about having the right character, which is about values. A guy named Chad Hennings played for the Cowboys and got 3 Super Bowl rings. And but that's who he is as an individual. And he, all through his career, has built that. That's who he is. When somebody says Chad Hennings, they go, that's a man of character.
Right.
It's interesting. I saw a friend of mine's daughter shared that she's going through a tough time. Been married 1 year. I'll give you the story. She's been married 1 year. Went to her wedding a couple of days ago. Was her anniversary, right? She was a single mom, married this great guy. She just got laid off. She's in a healthcare business, but she's not in the right space right now.
Right.
She's like, what do I do? Do this. She was going to play woe is me. And she said, you know what? My dad gave me Chad Henning's book, Forces of Character. And he says, you can, and she said, I read it. And now I'm going to make the best of this that I have. And it's just, when someone shares that with you, I think that's critical. I think it's beautiful. It turns into a beautiful thing. So now Lizzie's got her head on right. And she's now taking care of her husband and her son and her business. And she's going to be a force to be reckoned with. And I just love that you talk about that when you work with your clients.
It's so key. And, I think we all have our hero's journey, and it's easy to kind of look and say, wow, this person achieved everything. And just, you only see the end. You don't see all the things that they've gone through. And that's why I believe in transparency and sharing your story, because you can be that, like Chaz, that source of inspiration for so many people who have hit hard times. We've all gone through hard times.
Yeah, sure. I mean, like you said, you've had a cool journey yourself. And I know that making the transition from yoga to branding and becoming a single mom had to be challenging for you.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to venture a guess here. I'm going to guess that you probably had some people going, oh, Jessica, I don't know. You had some of those negative Nellies in your life at some point.
Yes, many.
It's funny. You said, don't watch the news. I was like, what do you mean? You're right. You got to take some of that out and take those. How do you deal with those folks that are dissenters, negative Nellies?
It is fuel for my fire. I know some people, they get turned off and they get dissuaded from pursuing their dreams. But so I have always been what I call the black sheep in my family. I went against the green in everything. Like, if you tell me do this, I'm going to do the opposite. And so it's always been that battle. And my parents have learned to embrace it. Kind of like, if I tell them I'm going to do something, they're like, no, you're not. So watch me. And, even when I left my company, it was the only decision I'd ever made completely on my own. I didn't weigh in on my friends or family. And thank God, because if I would have done that, I would have been talked out of leaving that company, which led me on the path of spirituality, which led me to every single thing that I've done. And I think so often, not only are we listening to negative Nellies, but we're surveying way too many people in our inner circle. And these people have extreme influences on us, especially parents, spouses, partners, close friends, and they project their own insecurities, fears onto. I mean, most of us were raised by parents who went through the Great Depression and instilled programming in a young age around money, around work, around money doesn't grow on trees. You got to work hard. Yes, you got to work hard. But
did you know my father?
No, I didn't.
Well, he sounds like you had a conversation with him at some point. I got to tell you, because I heard all of that growing up.
Yes. And so imagine if you just listen to all those people around you. Would you ever do the things that you really wanted to do, or that was pulling on your soul? I mean, how many people are sitting in a corporate job today? There's some people that love it, but sitting in there feeling unfulfilled, taking medication, drinking at the end of every day. This is a reality, and they're not listening to that inner guidance saying, I can do something different. And if they survey anybody, they're like, you're crazy. You have a great job. And I faced that in my own journey, but I persevered anyway. Even when I got pregnant with my daughter, my parents begged me, said, Jessica, please go and get a job. Go get a job. We just want you to go get a job. And I was like, I'm not going to get a job. I haven't had a job in, 10 years. Even in my startup, it was a job, but I owned a piece of the company. So I knew I had to forge my own path. And that's what you have to do. You have to have unwavering faith and commitment, unshakable confidence in yourself, and know that, hey, you're going to get knocked down, you're going to fail, but you'll come out the other side.
I love that. It's unwavering faith and belief. And that's important for me as well. It's my faith really has been driving a lot of what I've been doing through this. Like you, I've been locked up 30 plus days. I actually On the 13th of March, got that ultimate phone call that says, hey, I think you ran into somebody that tested positive, so you might want to stay home. It's like, oh, no, you're kidding me. So I did. I was at a trade show that week. We were all out. Nobody knew what was going on at that point. We weren't social distancing too much. We were, we weren't sheltered in place at that point. So here I am now. So how do you get that fear? How do you overcome that fear? From your perspective, you said you've been 35 days sheltered in place. Now, with a 5-year-old?
With a 5-year-old.
Yeah, that's got to be tons of fun.
Well, I do have a live-in nanny, and it's not something I always had, but it's something, as my company grew, I'm still a single mom, has been the biggest gift that I could give myself, to have that extra set of hands around. So I've had that benefit. But, for me, I feel like the yoga has helped. I have a strong sense of resilience and tenacity, and I don't let things get to me. What I've been recommending to people is, obviously shut off the news media. You can get in and get out with the information you need. But if you can give your mind something to focus on, it's going to be critical because you're anchoring your consciousness. Like, I am going to use this time. And some people argue against it. They say, this is emotionally trauma, you shouldn't be concentrating on anything. I don't buy into any of that. That's fine if that's you. Mine has been solely focused on growing myself into an edge that I haven't in my business before, and looking at ways of expansion and all kinds of really fun things that I haven't had time to focus on in this particular way. So if you can give your mind something to focus on, it's going to be a lot easier than sitting around and binge watching Netflix all day long.
I think you're absolutely right. Is what can we learn? And I've been working with clients, reaching out to clients. One of my things is I'm just going through and saying, how are you? How are you doing? And I work with associations around the country. So how are you doing? Just checking in. And I've talked to all my association presidents. I've checked with the clients that are in the associations. How have you been? What's going on? Really keeping that, rather than, I could binge watch Netflix all day long. And
that's pretty depressing,
there's no productivity there. There's nothing.
No,
yeah. What a great one. So as you think about this, and I'm curious about, from you, in what you do is work with folks on their marketing and branding, but it's also, there's a sense of culture that comes with that, I believe. So what's your thoughts on culture, and how do you build the right culture, either in a client, because a coach has to have a culture, or even in a company? What are some of your best practices? What do you think?
Well, it's one of the mindsets I teach is, instead of going in with the mentality, and this is actually a hard one to break for a lot of entrepreneurs, is instead of having that, what can I get? What can I gain? Shift it to what can I give? And so a culture of giving, and giving freely. And it doesn't mean because getting on calls and listening to everybody, problems, but giving in the form of educating, inspiring, and empowering. And so that's one of the ways that I built my business to the level it is today, is I just give and give without any expectation. And so understanding that there is a law of reciprocity at play. And if you give, people are going to want to refer people to you. They're going to want to be part of your, they're going to rally as your top raving fans, even if they never buy from you. And ultimately your dream clients are going to come to you because they're going to see you out there giving instead of trying to sell. So one of the pillars of culture is that law of reciprocity, of what can I give? That's huge.
I think we're seeing a lot more of that today. I'm really listening, and in the marketplace, all of a sudden, through this challenge that we're locked in place, we don't know what's coming in the future, is a lot more people are giving out. I'm seeing more, and Zoom has been amazing for everyone. As we recorded on Zoom here, give them a shout out for this technology they created. But they're seeing people now putting out freebies. I did a once a day, 3:00 in the afternoon for 2 weeks. I was like, I'm putting out, here's some thoughts, log in, come on in, whoever wants. Told all my clients, and we had a gaggle of people that would jump in, and I just wanted to share some thoughts and ideas. Yep. And it was in half hour's worth of, here's what I think, and we'll talk back and forth a little bit. But I think there's that sense of community and giving now.
Community and giving. You said it. That's the culture.
Yeah. And that's the culture. I think I'm hoping that we're going to take out of this on the backside, whatever that ends up looking like. So I want to be conscious and cautious of our time. Yeah, but I'm curious about stuff for you. Now, you've created a really nice business for yourself. So who are some of your favorite people you've met along the way? Influencers, you mentioned Gary Vee, you mentioned John Maxwell, but who are some of the people you've met along the way that have made an impact on you? That some of your favorite ones? It might be celebrities, I don't know.
Sure. And met in terms of came across?
Yeah, came across, met, talked to, I don't know.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of Brendan Burchard. I love his Eddie. I've always been a big fan of people like Oprah. It just depends. I mean, I like different things from different people. And I love Bond Halbert for copywriting. Russell Brunson's an absolute genius, whether you're into funnels or not. Just like watching him work is phenomenal. There's so many people, I don't even know how I can name all of them, that each bring their own unique edge. And I appreciate that. I appreciate their insights.
Yeah, and that's one of the things. Like I said, John Maxwell was one of my early influencers early on, and I've been very blessed to meet a lot of folks as well through. And in fact, I'm having the podcast is going to be fun. The Bald Truth is getting ready to crank it up just a notch or two. I think you're one of the first big influencers we're going to have on here, but we've got some fun ones that I'm setting up for the future. I was talking to a admiral who ran the Pacific Fleet, because I'm a big military buff. So we're talking about maybe we'll get a 3 or 4 star admiral on, which would be really cool to have.
That'd be amazing.
Fun stuff. Yeah. So we're looking at it. So, okay. So I would be remiss if I did not kind of get to know Jessica a little bit. Okay. Not just on the Jessica, here's my business, here's what I do, but Jessica, what drives you? So I've got what I call the Bald Truth questions, and these really dig to the heart of who you are.
Okay.
You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, good. So this is the only time it's going to be an inquisition or interrogation for you, but I'm curious. All right, let's say, imagine that you're holding a dinner party and you can invite 5 people. There's 6 total, you're included. You can invite 5 people, and those 5 people can be anyone from all of history, from the beginning of history up until today. Who do you invite and why?
Well, let's see. I would definitely invite my grandmother. She passed away, and just, I love like how much she was able to impart all the wisdom, all the things that she saw. So I would definitely want her there. Let's see who else I would invite. I think it'd be cool to have Einstein, even though I might not be able to discern what he's saying. Let's see who else. John F. Kennedy. Definitely, I'd want John F. Kennedy. John Lennon as well. And let's see who else. Is that 5? John F. Kennedy, John Lennon, my grandmother, Einstein, and maybe my Papa Jack. I'd have him too. My grandfather. Okay. Yes.
Good. I mean, when I ask this, I love this question because it tells so much about a person and what drives them, what makes them interesting, or what interests them as well. So thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. So one more, or actually 2 more. Okay. So we're at the end of our days. Jessica, it's the end of time for you. We all have an expiration date. I don't know when it is, but let's just say your time is up and they're writing an article about you. What's the headline? What's the title?
For the very last day, what she did, the legacy
Jessica's gone, and somebody's writing an article about Jessica. I don't want to know what's in the article. I just want to know what's the title of the article.
Let's see. She came, she transformed, she left a legacy. Something like that.
Good. Because that's what we want to do. It's one of those cool exercises when you think about it. One of my favorite authors was Stephen Covey. I still wish I had met him. And he did an exercise that says you walk into a funeral, walk up to the casket and look in, and it's you. Now, what are the people saying about you that are giving you the eulogies? Friends, family, coworkers, neighbors. you have to listen to what they're going to say. What are they saying? Like, oh, I don't know if I like this stuff.
Yeah.
So, and finally, okay, so what do you do every morning to set yourself up for a good day for success? What are some of the tricks, tips, things that you do that our listeners might jump in and that you do for success, that are drive success for you?
Every morning before I grab my phone or anything, I'm going to center myself. Actually, while I'm laying in bed, center myself, do a little mindset, meditation, energy work, and a gratitude practice. And that's before I actually do anything else. So that's the first thing I do. And that way, at least I have my mind, my energy centered and ready for the.
Excellent. Good. And that's a great way to start. Meditation is a good way. Center yourself. Don't grab your phone too quick.
That's right.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Jessica, thank you so much for being on today. I just so appreciate you for being on the Bald Truth. It has been an absolute pleasure to hear your thoughts, get to know you, and I look forward to getting to know you even better outside of the podcast and just kind of learn more about what you're doing. We'll have you back. Maybe we'll have you back and share some more stuff with you. So
Awesome.
Thank you for being on.
Thank you.
All right. This has been the Bald Truth with Coach Rick of the Peak Performance Group, the company that helps people and organizations reach their potential. If you're looking for a way to grow your organization, whether it's sales or strategic direction, the Peak Performance Group, our coaches, we can help you grow with our proven business acceleration process. Call us at 817-748-7425 or visit our website, www.mypotentialplus.com, and we'll connect you with one of our coaches. My name's Coach Rick. I'm your host. Thank you, Jessica, for being on, and that's the Bald Truth.